Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I get to my questions, I want to just try to address some of my colleagues, because if there's one thing I've learned about this place, it's that whatever foot the shoe is on today, it's going to be on the other foot in a few years. And you can imagine if we go down the road of this body being purely advisory and having a very different president in the White House in a few years and maybe a different House and a different Senate, what that's going to mean for a number of red states. Because if you care about defense approps, you know, what happens when we have a president who decides that Air Force base in Missouri shouldn't get the funding we appropriated for it, or the Army base in Arkansas, or the highway in Alabama, or the National Park Unit in Alaska. And so we just have to think through this and make sure that we're still relevant here. And I want to address one of the fundamental disconnects, because it's not just talking points. The chair held up this RUTF. That's something we've actually been able to work on a very bipartisan basis. Director, how familiar are you with RUTF, what it's used for?
I'm familiar to be able to come here knowing it would be addressed.
It's something you use when kids are so severely malnourished that they need to eat this before they can eat other food. They can't eat rice. They can't eat normal food. And so when I hear that none of the life-saving stuff has changed, I'm trying to square the fact that I and a number of other colleagues were at a refugee camp in northwest Kenya where the funding got cut off. It got cut off for rice. It got cut off for this kind of stuff. And now mothers are on a 600-calorie-a-day diet. That's slow starvation. So if that's not what this administration means to do, then you need to get together with Secretary Rubio and fix it. Because I saw kids that, you know, when they get malaria, when they get dysentery, they can't eat food anymore. And if we're not doing this, and notice it has an American flag on it, that is smart, soft power. Because we have allies like Kenya who are the last bastion of defense against the lawless terrorism that occurs further north. I mean, that's why there's a refugee camp there, is because of the South Sudanese war, not to mention the terrorism that tries to move into Central Africa from the east. It is a smart investment so that we don't have to send troops. And we are not meeting that obligation right now. And that has life and death consequences. So it's one thing to talk about somebody's report. It's another to have to look at mothers and kids who are slowly starving. Director, you impounded USAID funds to Colombia.
No, sir, we did not.
You did not?
We have not impounded any funding.
I'll get back to that. If I misspoke, then otherwise I'll just put the communication in writing. I want to return once again to this issue of public broadcasting, because there are a number of places where there is no CNN, there is no Fox, there's no nothing for emergency broadcasting except for public broadcasting. Alaska has the most stations that receive over 25% of their funding from NPR, but New Mexico is the second most. What do you say to communities like Zuni, New Mexico, or Raymond, New Mexico, tribal communities that simply don't have any other form of emergency broadcast backup, where you're not replacing, you know, the for-profit radio station down the street? You're just telling people that when there's a wildfire, you're not going to have emergency information. And how did you rack and stack that
Thanks for the question. Those important stations would not go away. I heard the number 25%, I think, from the senator from Wisconsin. Our number is about 17% in terms of the revenues that they rely on CBP for. There is ample time for them to adjust, but even the funds that they receive, they then send back to Corporation for Public Broadcasting, or specifically NPR and PBS for programming. So our view is that they should be more judicious with where they are paying for content, and that is no longer a need. Similarly, we protect other government programs in which important information, emergency information, weather, is getting put out to the public via these stations. So our view is that we specifically did not rescind fiscal year 25 funding. This is about 26 and 27 advanced appropriations. We have not created a cliff. We have given an opportunity to work through these things and allow them to plan accordingly so that they can continue to serve the communities that you represent and that they serve.
Chair Collins, I hope we'll take extra time to make sure that those committees have what they need, communities have what they need.